Hello there, Seraph17 once again, introducing you to my Dark Souls video walkthrough. We've currently just rang the second bell, and I'm progressing down towards the Demon Ruins to take on the Ceaseless Discharge. So anybody that thinks that's a disgusting sentence obviously doesn't know the name of the boss, but the boss's name is pretty ridiculous, and I don't know, I'd like to think it would have made it into a Western game, but you know, this game is so Japanese that I expect nothing less than an extremely off-putting, you know, suggestive name like that. But here's a quick look at my equipment. Pretty dire at the moment. I'm kind of relying on the fact I've got ridiculous strength. And I've put the bandit's knife on for a good reason. It's very, very fast and it takes up very little stamina when you swing it. So I'm going to be using a trick to fight Ceaseless Discharge, and the only thing it needs is for you to hit him a certain number of times. It doesn't need you to do damage, it just needs the physical attacks. So the dagger makes perfect sense. I entered that covenant for the basis of getting that lovely pyromancy from Quelaag's sister. If you're going to be doing the pyromancy direction that I've mentioned, you need that spell. It is so important, it's so powerful and so much fun to use. And anybody who's messing around with pyromancy, you want that spell. It's 2 attunement slots, but it's totally worth it. So this is the bonfire inside the Demon Ruins, and killing this boss is going to drain the lava away so that you can actually move down into Ceaseless from the Demon Ruins, but you probably don't want to do it at this point in time. You can do it because you can kill the Capra demons, especially this character. I could go down all the way up until the blocked door, the Gwyn block doors, the gold ones, but I would never advise a new player to do that because it's just something silly. And you can't make any progress really. You can just go down to the bonfire and you can't warp to it, so I mean you can't get the shortcut, which is a shame. That would be nice, but Ceaseless Discharge anyway. This is the boss fog. I would recommend that you have the Grass Crest shield on to regenerate your stamina quicker. I would recommend that you're not too heavy so you can move at the biggest mobility that you can, and I would recommend a fast weapon. But I've got to put a little disclaimer on this video, because on my live playthrough I did this the exact same way I do it on this video, and the boss killed me. He did like a fucking Rocky punch and knocked my jaw off, and he one-shot me. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's just random, I don't know if it's just Dark Souls being Dark Souls or what, but the strategy I'm about to show you does work, but there is always the possibility that the boss is going to hit you for some reason, and I'm not too sure why. But there you go. So he will not actually aggro until you pick up the robes of Ceaseless, which is these over here. And do not just run from picking up this item, because if you run while he does the big splash attack, it can insta-kill you. It's really damaging. There's the splash attack, wait for it to stop, then run. And now all you need to do is run all the way back where you came to the fog door. And right there, do you notice how you heard the noise of something clanging down, something smashing? I assume that's him doing the punch of where I was. On my live playthrough, he swung where I actually was, as opposed to where I'd been, and it was pretty crazy. But if it goes this way, like in this video, this is easy. There's no real reason for this to be challenging, but I died on that recording yesterday and it was really disheartening. It kind of sucked. It was sod's law, but what can you do? So run all the way back to this door and then just wait for him. Because what happens is he jumps towards you and he commits to trying to kill you, but he ends up hanging precariously over a fall, and a fall that kills him. And all you need to do is chop his fingers away, just like, you know, the Joker and Batman moment from the original Batman movie. So there's his arm, slash his hand, and then you'll just see all his life go. There you go. And he falls into the abyss. You get some free souls, you open up the Demon Ruins, and now we can go back up to the Firelink Shrine. And at this moment in the game we don't have any way to teleport, so I use the Homeward Bone to go back to the bonfire, and then from here we're going to be going all the way back through Blighttown. And the more times you go through Blighttown, the easier it gets, but I can honestly say it still doesn't become any more fun, because it's just not a great area. But make your way up, do your thing. So I mentioned I was going to talk more about the Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition, and I didn't really do that. So I'm going to use this moment now, because this is not going to be the most riveting of videos from now on, because we're just backtracking in a place we've already been. And I mentioned that the Electricity Guardian boss, there's a possibility that you might be able to stand on some of the landmass and not take as much damage, which will be interesting. But once you kill him, it leads you out into this sanctuary of Ceaseless, which would probably be pronounced Ulasil, because there's no E-A-L, but I really like Ulasil. I think it sounds so much cooler, so that's probably how I'm going to pronounce it, be it wrong or be it right. And in there, there's an NPC mushroom person who's telling you, because they're a guardian of the sanctuary apparently, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. The new enemies that are in the Royal Woods, which looks a lot like the Dark Wood Garden, or the Dark Root Garden, sorry, but it's less dark. Like, look at that then. Can you see how dark this is? Why is it this dark? Why does it suddenly have this crazy darkness every so often? Oh, frame rate. Goodness me. Blighttown, where frame rate goes to die. But the Royal Woods have got a bunch of new looking enemies, and the guy who was playing the game said that for inexperienced players you could easily spend 30 hours in the DLC. That's how big it is. And he says for somebody who's experienced and who's good at the game, you can probably do it in under 10 hours, which I don't know how I'll fall into that criteria, because I do consider myself pretty good at the game, but I've never really... My first time through an area, I'm generally tentative. I generally roll into all the walls to see if I can find illusory walls. I generally play with the enemies so that I can learn the patterns rather than just mercilessly slashing them. And the bosses will be interesting, because they're going to scale them in such a way that regardless of the level of your character, they're going to be difficult to fight, because the DLC is... the optimum time to do it is between getting the Lord Vessel and fighting Gwyn, I believe, because somebody mentioned you had to at least have been to Duke's Archives, which I don't understand, because the teleporter is in the Dark Root Basin, sorry. I keep fucking that name up for some reason. And you can get there at the start of the game, so I wonder if you need a specific item from somewhere that we've picked up and it doesn't really do much, so we've never really looked at it too hard, like the pendant, some nonsense like that, and then now suddenly it makes sense. But some of the bosses, because there's going to be 4 bosses, there's the Guardian one, there's Artorias, there's an optional one which is a dragon, which looks pretty fierce, and then there's one that's called like the Dark Lurker or something. I believe that's the part of the trailer where the character falls into a darkened room and there's something moving towards him that's got a couple of lights on it, but you can't quite see what it is. And my immediate reaction is it looked like the Omega weapon from Final Fantasy X, just with red on it. A little bit like Paragon, because I think Paragon looked like that on whichever one he was on, I can't quite remember. But I don't know. Oh, right there, I got toxined, and that's when this video suddenly becomes a lot more interesting than it was before. So, I got hit by a toxin arrow, and I didn't realise you could while you were climbing the ladder, so it must have been a really lucky shot, 'cause it's never happened to me, and I've been through this game numerous times. Only problem is, I don't have anything to cure it, except for maybe a Divine Blessing, and I don't think I have one of those. Because I assume that they cure all status ailments and fully heal you, because they're effectively just is it the full moon, the dark wood grass, dark moon grass? So what's happening here is I have a really aggressive form of poisoning, and if you look at my life you can see exactly what that means. So I need to get back to the bonfire, and I have 8 Estus flasks to make it, which is more than enough, but it's easy to panic when you're a new player when something like this happens. So it's just a case of, you know, standing your ground, keep your composure, get back to the bonfire and you'll be fine. And if you do have the blossoming moss, or whatever it's called, the blooming moss, glowing moss, I can't quite remember its name. It's the purple one with the jizz on it. That one will heal toxin. And if you're a spellcaster, you can heal yourself if you've got any of the spells that do that. But back into New Londo, so we're very close now to getting to the Firelink Shrine and carrying on with the game. as we go up the elevator, and I chug some more flasks. But he then went to the township of Ulasil, which looked kind of cool. It looked a bit precarious. I'm not a fan of precarious areas because I don't like falling off. The enemies that he were fighting were these... they had really long arms and they wore a mask and they seemed kind of dumb. But it looked interesting. He got ate by a bloody mimic, which... Come on, bro. You're a hardcore Dark Souls player and a mimic kills you? That's, you know... I can't understand the logic of employing somebody to showcase the game who needs to debug to get through the game. That to me seems like insanity. This is his job, folks. He's a representative of these games. He's the person that goes out and takes them to these media outlets and showcases their game. So, Namco Bandai release a handful of games every year, which means that they must have a handful of people just like this guy that specialise in each area to cover a game. And this is the dude they picked to specialise in Dark Souls. I think I might be sending my fucking resume to Namco because they could do with some work. But now that we've rung both the bells, we've opened up the Sense Fortress Gate, which is the place that I'm going to now. And there's a really important decision to be made at this point of the game for any new players. And I've had my window open this entire time, so I do apologise if you can hear cars and shit, 'cause I live on a main road. But this is an important decision for any new player. You can either take on the Four Kings first, which can seem like an intimidating prospect, but then you're able to join the Dark Wraiths and get the achievement and you never have to do it again. Or you can talk to Frampt, who is a shop effectively. You can sell all kinds of shit to him. He doesn't give you the best rates, but it is an interesting way of getting rid of stuff. He will also split the synthesis materials for you, which is kind of cool. But then you will forsake meeting the other Primordial Serpent and getting the achievement for joining that Covenant. So it's entirely up to you guys in the order that you do it. But either decision that you make, you can always do it in another playthrough or do it in another character, so it's entirely up to you. But you'll notice I'm going to be using my Twinkling Titanite to put my Black Knight Halberd up to +4, I believe. Which makes the power really ridiculous. Especially when it scales with my strength, and my strength has to be quite high for me to even wield it, so it's just such a devastating combo.
I'll be seeing you then. Be careful out there.
But I was talking before my phone kept going off, which I don't know if anybody will pick up on. About the Namco Bandai representative playing the new content. He did confirm that you will be able to get Artorias' armor, which I'm really happy about because Artorias looks so fucking cool. My only trepidation is that, like, you know, the other armors on the game that come from characters, your dude just doesn't seem to be the right size to fit all the pieces in an ensemble, and half the time you just end up using parts of it because that's how it looks best. But I'm really excited for it. And I know immediately there's going to be everybody wearing it, so it completely diminutizes its value, but it doesn't matter, it looks cool, and Artorias is a cool motherfucker too, so I can't wait to check that stuff out. It'd be nice if he had a different weapon, because I'm not the biggest fan of the Great Sword of Artorias. He makes it look cool, but I don't think it looks cool on any characters. It's just one of those swords that just... I don't know. If it was faster, if it wasn't a great sword, technically, if it was a great sword but it had the speed of like a katana, then I'd think it'd be cooler, but it just doesn't look as good for me, and it doesn't feel good. It's just a standard sword, really. Which is a shame, because he's such a boss dude. You'd think he'd have some kind of like fuck you weapon. But thanks for watching, guys, and you take care now.